Welcome back to On the Rise with the latest Canadian men's national team news, and it's been a whirlwind of a past 24 hours for the Canadian men's national team, as we've seen rumors around John Herdman possibly joining Toronto FC as their next head coach manager, as well seeing a huge transfer rumor around Daniel Nimick in the Canadian Premier League, the HFX Wanderers center back who has been brilliant this season, and even two Canadians in action abroad. But we're going to kick it off all with the John Herdman debacle, really. It has been very interesting to see what's really going down with John Herdman and TFC. And Gareth Wheeler even broke it all down on One Soccer today, talking about John Herdman and how this 2 weeks ago he was informed from multiple sources and very close sources that this is a reality. And John Herdman is in the final stages and is looking very close to joining Toronto FC as their new manager. And then about a week ago, he was apparently in Toronto for a meeting with the club at a higher end hotel. This is all from Gareth Wheeler and from his sources on One Soccer today. And then he said that it has stalled and it looks to be slowing down and is now becoming very eerie around the club, as this has been the worst kept secret in Canadian soccer, that John Herdman is now very much edging closer to joining TFC, but it's very much stalled now. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether TFC gets John Herdman over the line and what happens with the Canadian men's national team. Because John Herdman has, of course, been a huge part of this nationals team, the rise, recruiting so many dual nationals, and really bringing this team on the rise that they've really been on. And without John Herdman, I don't know where this national team would be, which speaks volumes. But where he's brought this team, I personally don't know how much further he can bring them. He looks out of ideas in some games, and I'm not saying I want him to go. I love John Herdman and everything he's done for this national side. But personally, I think this team needs to be playing a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. I've said this from day dot since I've created this channel, since I've been following the national team. It gets our best players in their best positions, and it gets our expansive wide players out wide. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens with John Herdman. I'm not going to be dwelling on this for too big of a portion on this video, because I'm going to be making a separate video coming out tomorrow about this crazy thing going around with John Herdman and the whole issue around him joining TFC and Bobby Smirniotis, who also might be the other candidate for the TFC job as well. So it's a very interesting situation with John Herdman going to TFC. There's been many talks around the Canadian fan base since this came up from Joshua Cloak yesterday on who might be the next manager to really fill in for Herdman, and if we want this to happen, what we think might happen. And there's been a whole whirlwind around the Canadian men's national team fan base, and that is very fair, because it looks like this is in advanced stages. Yes, it's gone very quiet around the TFC manager role, so it'd be very interesting. And I'm sure John Herdman would love to coach club football. He's always said he wanted to coach in England. He's always wanted to go coach in the best leagues in the world. I think he could do it in the championship, but getting a cut with TFC, a club that'll very much back him, and being able to take the TFC side, that is the worst side by far in the MLS right now, back to the top where they should be, would put him massively on the map at the club level and show that he can do it. So I can very much see why John Herdman would want to take the TFC job. It can be a very appealing job for a manager, as well as a poison chalice. If it goes wrong for you, it goes horribly wrong. If it goes right, I think this could go unbelievably right, and we could see John Herdman take a step up massively in their club career. But I do understand why he'd want this, and it'd be very interesting to see what does happen and who would even fill in for the Canadian men's national team role. And I will be diving into all of that news around John Herdman and what Gareth Wheeler broke on One Soccer in a video coming out tomorrow morning. I want to go more in depth into it. I want to look at what he really said and break down what Gareth Wheeler said on One Soccer and really give you my full opinion, because this is such a big issue and I want to talk about it on a separate video, which will be more in depth. But leave your guys' comments down below on this video as well of what you guys think of the John Herdman situation. Would you guys like to see a new manager, fresh formation? Who would you possibly like to see? Do you want to see Herdman stay? What do you guys think of the whole John Herdman situation? But moving on from that, it has still been a very exciting day in the world of Canadian men's national team football. Even with only 2 players playing and taking to the pitch, we've had a huge transfer rumor come out from the secret scout on of course, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it these days, who broke a rumor around the HFX Wanderers center back in Daniel Nimick. When Daniel Henry joined the club, I knew Daniel Nimick was going to flourish. He's been flourishing all season, and under the guidance and leadership of Daniel Henry, he's even taken another step up, in my opinion, since he's come. HFX has taken another step up, even if Daniel Henry hasn't been starting. And Daniel Nimick has had a huge report around him today, as the secret scout went to say this: Daniel Nimick, the 22-year-old player I've been watching the last few months, is a very interesting profile and came through Leeds Academy, now at Halifax Wanderers in the Canadian Premier League. A 6'2" dominating centre back, MLS and Premier League scouts currently watching him. We'll be surprised if Canada don't try to cap tie him in next months. And then goes on to say, one to watch, ... It is huge that the secret scout goes on to say MLS and Premier League scouts are currently watching him. And the fact that he has in Premier League scouts is mind-blowing. I know he came from an English academy in Leeds, which is a great academy. He's, of course, a dual national, technically. Canada needs to go out and cap tie him very soon. He's been playing brilliantly in the Canadian Premier League and deserves that call-up. I'd love to see him get the call-up even to the squad in Japan. When we go and play that huge friendly in October, it would be a massive call-up for him and a great chance to cap tie him. Play him beside Derek Cornelius in the 4 in the back. Please tell me we switch to a 4 in the black. But this would be even a topic for the manager debate. If you get a new manager in, he could switch to a 4 in the back. He can maybe start integrating some, or bringing through, I know I used the wrong word there, bringing through some Canadian Premier League players, some young Canadian stars who we're going to see take that next jump to Europe, like Daniel Nimick, and of course Sean Young. There's so many Woobens Pacius. There's so many young Canadians in the Canadian Premier League who haven't been given that shot with the national team. I understand why Herdman hasn't really fully given them that chance, but at center back, this is a player who we should be giving the chance to. And especially when there's MLS and even Premier League scouts currently watching him. He's a huge player to watch, and I'm very excited to see if Daniel Nimick will get a transfer. I really think he deserves it. 19 matches this season, 2 goals, 2 assists from center back, having a 7.1 match rating across 19 games. He's been huge for HFX this season in the Canadian Premier League, and I really think he deserves that massive transfer, and it's amazing to hear that there's MLS and even Premier League scouts watching Daniel Nimick. It's a huge player, and I think that's a great shout for managers. If we get a new manager in, who knows, maybe even Smiriotis would be a shout for manager job. I'm not saying that's who I want, but I could see why some people might suggest him, how good he's brought through Canadian talent, and with his great tactics, he's around the league, and it'd be very interesting to see. But I think it's a great shout for the new manager role for the Canadian job. If we get a new manager, does he bring through younger Canadian players? Does he start to cap time more players? Is he going to be more convincing to bring in dual nationals? It's all going to be very interesting to see, and there's going to be so many arguments around that new managerial role. But besides that transfer rumor, we did have 2 players in show, and they were both goalkeepers. And unfortunately, our starter with the national team in Milan Borjan had a shocker today, finishing the match on a 4.9 rating on FootMob, as his side in Slovan Bratislava fell to Maccabi Haifa in the 3rd round of qualifications, losing 3-1 and 5-2 on aggregate. Absolutely dismantled. I knew it was going to be difficult from them going away from home to Maccabi, a side that is relentlessly knocking on the door and pushing for European football, and they've done it again, knocking off Slovan Bratislava, of course Milan Borjan's side, and it was a very even match to a certain extent. 13 shots to 11, 1.6 xG to 1.0, and the chances were just not there for Slovan. 0 big chances to 3 for Maccabi Haifa, and Maccabi Haifa took their chances, and that's what you got to do in those big situations, those big matches, and especially at home when the side is trying to beat you. It wasn't the greatest match from Milan Borjan, of course, finishing on a 4.9. Looking at his stats, only 1 save throughout the whole match, having 1 diving save inside the box, a punch, 2 throws, and 4 recoveries. And of course, passing wise, not his strongest suit, 5 for 16 long balls, and even accurate passes going 15 for 27. Wasn't a great day for Milan Borjan's Slovan Bratislava, who will be without European football. Moving on to our other goalkeeper of the day and our last topic for the video, in a dual national goalkeeper for Colchester United in Owen Goodman. He's been a man of hot topic on my videos the past couple of days through our daily uploads, talking about the latest news in his matches. He's been on fire, whether it was against Cardiff City in the penalties or his other match. He has been playing very well. But unfortunately, his side did drop a match again today to AFC Wimbledon, 2-0. Colchester took a loss, 2 goals of James Tilley, and Owen Goodman still managed to put up a 6.4 rating. Still not bad at all for losing 2-0, having 5 saves, very accurate with his feet, 22 for 35, a 63% accuracy, 9 throwouts, 2 high claims, and 12 recoveries, finishing the match on 53 touches. Owen Goodman's been a very exciting dual national since I've been keeping an eye on him and breaking his performances down. Unfortunately, the goalkeeper pool in the Canadian men's national team is so filled. Whether it's like Jonathan Sirois, Maxime Crépeau coming back into fitness. We're yet to see what he can do at the top level, but we know what he's capable of. It's all going to be depending on how that leg break affects him at the top level, as well as seeing the legs of Dane St. Clair, Milan Borjan, Tom McGill, 5 top goalkeepers and 4 top goalkeepers if you're not counting Maxime Crépeau, and you even got James Pantemis knocking on the door, who if he gets a starting transfer somewhere, that'll be huge. Sebastian Bereza in the Swiss Pro League. There's so many young Canadian goalkeepers out there that are doing extremely well. It'll be very hard for Owen Goodman to come in and get cap-tied, but I think we should really keep an eye on him and get him cap-tied. We don't need another Luca Kolyosho or Fikayo Tomori situation. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, guys. Hit that sub button, drop a like. I'm loving the interactions in the video. The more comments, the better. I love talking football with you guys, especially Canadian football. And we're going to even have a John Herdman video tomorrow morning talking about Gareth Wheeler's little 3-minute clip and highlight from One Soccer where he breaks down all of the reports and sources he's been getting around the John Herdman situation going on, which I find very interesting, and I wanted to take a deeper dive into it, and that's what we'll be doing earlier tomorrow morning. Let me know what you guys think on the video, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace!